terzo sono quelli alti a destra.
Я думаю, самый высокий те, кто остались.
Tady bychom tohle utejpovali, že by to bylo ještě protáh, kdybychom ho chytli vyloženě k tomu, kdyby to vůbec jako nepřidělal v tom.
Perfettamente centrale.
Kdyby byl tenhle, ten by se vůbec nehýbal.
Ja, men det är inte klart.
Martin kommer höger, så vet du. Один справа вернем, дайте на контроле пятачок, а? Один справа не забудь, а? No to byl jeden, jako no, to byl jeden. Средно, без проблем.
Матвей! Давай один интервью сделаем. Ja, det är ju det nu. Först vill jag över du och bara. Det är på TV nu. Jag drar det.
Now it's enough.
Så en tillbaka. Bra jobbat.
Пятый выстрел. Здесь все твое. Вот это пятый. Группа хорошая.
Совсем скучно без зрителей, да? Там?
Tako ty hrbovy, ne? Trošku jako pozerat.
Не туда показывает. Что смотрит, до вас коронавирус добрался? До биатлонистов добрался уже.
Tam ještě dám. Drží. Ein à moins qu'il ne le fasse pas. Non, non, il ne le fait pas. Il est dans la bouteille. Ja, genau.
Вообще жесть.
Welcome. Наша репрезентація.
Здесь 15 минут и начнется уже трансляция.
Was ist das? Mann, was heißt? Nerede yazacak? Nerede yapıyor?
Ну, я думаю, Фуркаду уже хватит выигрывать. Я думаю, что в десяточку заехал и хватит. Всем по чуть-чуть. Много. Что он не радостный совсем. Либо настраивается, так можно. Да, без зрителей, конечно, им скучно. Как слышно? Звук есть? Меня слышно хоть чуть-чуть? Напишите, может. Супер, спасибо. Первый раз трансляцию провожу, так что если что не так будет, сори. Интересно посмотреть, как они там подготавливаются к своему старту. Только без зрителей скучно, тихо совсем. Я уеду, у меня не будет минут 15-20, так что я оставлю вас одних тут с трансляцией. Смотрите, следите. Перетащу вас в другое место, приеду и тогда...
Já vím, ale ty svakat tu ležku vejškou nebo ne?
Nečekal jsem, a jeden nahoru.
To bylo hodně dole, jako tohle zůstalo, tohle jako by ta položka byla pěkná, ale celá dole.
Jednička. 590.
4. 823.
Třináct. 860.
78. Ty to mají bez problému, veďme. Deset.
238.
Jo, číslo printy. 927.
Ať to jede, ať se daří. To by bylo to číslo printy. Nikdo. Sí.
Pour aller dans le noir. Que du sale.
So here we go, the next sprint as we draw towards the close of the season. Unbelievable that it's going. We've got 3 sprints remaining. Here, of course, Kontiolahti next week. And then we're in the Holmenkollen Stadium on the 20th of March. And it looks like we're going to have very, very few fans between now and the end of the season, Mike.
Yes, it looks like, certainly for this weekend in cross-country, Holmenkollen has decided that they don't want spectators on the course or in a gathering, which was really surprising, given the cold air and it's spectators out in the wide open, but that seems to be a decision made.
Yeah, and as a number of observers have said, if you ban them from going on the tracks, they're just going to go to the local pub, and there'll be hundreds and hundreds of them in the same pub in a far better breeding ground for any virus, and also it won't be 1.6 meters apart, it will be 1.6 centimeters apart.
Yeah,
there doesn't seem a lot of sense in that, especially when it's such a big part of Norwegian culture to have the fans out in the woods.
Oh, it is, and many are disappointed with that firm decision. Doherty, I think it's summer when he joined the military, losing a lot of times in specialised biathlon training. I still expect Doherty to come good towards the end of the season, and maybe that'll start today.
Yeah, in terms of rankings, he's back where he was in 2016 after a decent season last year, finished 25th. He's lying 44th at the moment. Logging off now, the world champion, the sprint world champion. We haven't seen him smile for a while, and that's due to the hassle that he had in Antol. Some saying it was unfair, others saying, look, if you've got a history like he's got, you're going to be under pressure, you're going to be scrutinised.
I agree with that sentiment, but then there are many in many sports and in cross-country skiing who have served a 2-year ban as well, and they're not put under that almost daily scrutiny that he is. Yes, the country sadly hasn't got a good track record.
Picturishny, Ukraine don't have that good a record, to be honest. They've had problems. Kazakhstan have had problems. You have to keep the pressure on, Mike, otherwise they'll just go back to their old ways. So I think there has to be a case, and the people who get tested and checked most are the winners, the best in the world, and then next it's the people who've offended before.
Oh, trust me, I think it should be fair and equal to all. If you're going to give a hard time to one, give a hard time to them all who have served time. But those are the rules.
Now, the first of the Chinese athletes, Cheng Fang Ming. He's quick. Got his best for the season in the very first race of the season, and we got excited. Thought, my goodness, Bjorn Dahlen has already worked his magic. Well, but he sort of hasn't really put consistency. It hasn't been part of his game.
He hasn't, but I think Bjorn Dahlen was part of bringing Cheng into the A team. He was always on the outside, and he saw Cheng's potential, and certainly we expect more from him.
That was Phil Maillet, as I'm sure you know, as we go to a former world champion in this discipline from 2017, Hochtelsen, Benedict Doll, showing exactly what he could do. He hasn't had many wins since then.
Oh, he must have felt so bad in the highlights we saw with the German team leading the relay. And Benny Dahl, he went so hard on his first lap of 2.5, came in exhausted, and that really, that was the downfall of the German team, that pushing too hard.
He missed 27 shots in 5 events in the World Championships. That is not the Benny Dahl that we know, and that's not how you win medals. Dominic Vindish came away with a silver medal from the mixed relay. I suspect he'll be happy with that. He got on the podium in his home stadium.
I think he'll be happy. I mean, to the pressure of racing at home, we've seen over many years, many countries. Oh, Loganov putting so much effort in. A little trip there, 3/4 of the way up the steepest climb.
Number 9 is Matviev Alisiev, and 12th in the World Championship sprint. He dropped to a miserable 55th in the pursuit, missing what, 7 shots I think it was. So a mixed bag of results. Top 12 is good, but he will have been thinking in terms of top 5. I guess he's got to have the perfect race to challenge for a podium finish.
Yeah, Alisiev, as we see Talia Boer getting ready. Alisiev, of course, went straight on to the European Championships after the World Championships, and he is the European title holder in this event.
Now, if the top 10 in the World Cup all shot the perfect score, Mike, who would be on top of the podium?
This man, I think, Fiormaillet. I was asked that recently, why don't we talk about if get rid of the rifles, who would win the race? And that's an interesting point. Biathlon shooting is only part of it, and I think Fiormaillet would.
Well, he got 1 gold, 2 silver, and 3 times in 7th, so it was a superb sequence of results from him. Johannes Kern now, his prone shooting's been brilliant, and I think he has a bigger differential between his prone and his stand than anyone else. 94% hit rate in the prone, world class, 65% in the stand, school class.
That's incredible. That's junior class, and that much trouble is thinking when you're so good in prone. That's got to be equal or better than anybody in the men's field at 94, but letting himself down. When he placed on the podium in Oberhof, I thought that was his breakthrough moment, that we'd see him regularly, but it didn't happen.
Yaliot now, another man who can finish in the top 15 if he goes clear. The Belarus team having a very good European Championships at home for the 2nd year in a row in Minsk because of the snow conditions. They didn't have any there either, but they did invest in a lot of artificial snow and actually put on a very good show. The first of the Boer brothers to start. Tabie, the older, 4th in the World Cup standings at the moment, Mike, which is pretty good. Every single race from the World Champs, he was in the top 6, relays and individuals, everything. That is phenomenal for someone of his age.
It is, and it was quite, when he talked about Jacqueline, how good he was at the finish, it was incredible 2 days later that it was Jacqueline who passed him and beat him.
This man, whose highlight of his career so far, undoubtedly the silver medal from the Olympic pursuit race in Pyeongchang 2018. Did pretty well in Östersund at the World Champs last year. Hasn't really fired this season as we watch Fiormaillet. What's his split going to be? 0.7 inside Pfeiffer. He started a bit quicker than that in Antolz, Mike. I'm just wondering whether Fiormaillet is either fatigued or whether he's decided to show this course a lot of respect.
Well, maybe that respect. It's just, well, 1.9 kilometers, Fiormaillet just a little ahead. Pfeiffer in 2nd place.
Artem Prima, starting 15. Pigdrushny, the best of the Ukrainians in terms of World Cup standings this year. He's 20th in the standings. Prima at 24 as we watch Sean Doherty going through the split at 2.5 and 13 outside Pfeiffer. That's not bad, but as you say, once you have to mix training with career, there's only one way your results are going to go.
Yeah, you get away from all that specific training, all the base endurance you need to build the strength in the muscles, and of course the routines of endlessly shooting, changing some aspects of your shooting to make it better.
That was interesting with Guzik. Definitely an advocate of the lead with the elbows in terms of the double poling action. We'll see whether Jesper Nellin does the same. Old school double poling, or middle school really, because double poling is the technique that has changed so much over the years. But nowadays, Mike, many of the athletes leading with the elbow as they pull the poles through.
Yes, short striding, it's that for the higher frequency. In the old days, it used to be long range, hands almost straight out in front of you. Well, he's in already, can't believe that. 8 minutes and 8 seconds to the timing just prior to the final entry to the range.
Could be looking at a time of 27. Nothing in terms of wind to worry about.
I think we're really going to see over 20 athletes shoot the perfect score today. It's really that easy. It's about how you pace it coming in. Recovery is so much easier than 2 weeks ago in Antholz. Oh, high right.
Well, he took a long time over that second shot, and that was a bad decision. Kirchner will be as puzzled as we are, someone with Pfeiffer's experience, and he must know that in these conditions it's a 10 out of 10 day.
And especially when he was one of only, what, 4 athletes in Antholz at the World Championships to shoot the perfect score on a windy day, a difficult day at altitude.
Yeah, Pfeiffer is a man who raises his game for the major championships. Strange how some athletes revel in the pressure, others are destroyed by it. It's strange, isn't it? I mean, Davidova from the women's tour, my classic example of how someone who's, you know, so much class, so much potential, but when the situation gets tense, she doesn't seem to be able to cope with it. You on the other hand, tended to raise your game for the majors.
Yeah, it's very strange. Always, yeah, a real boost. Maybe it was through having some backup at the major events.
Partly that, and also partly that instead of 7 Norwegians, you've got 4.
Yeah, I mean, that obviously helped as well. Sean Dockery. I was going to say, having been shorn last year, he had, well, since I first saw him, he always had long hair. That's a very positive start for him.
Now, Loganov, he's already had a little stumble, and 12 seconds down off the best time. That's strange, but it's a good shoot so far. That's quick. 16 to the first, which won't be the fastest we'll see, but a 27.6 is a good solid shoot. We may see someone down 24.5, 25, but you can't fault that from Loganov. Just a question, Mike, of where did that time go on the range? 12 seconds down coming in, 12 up coming out.
That's quite incredible. I'm surprised. He has had a great season, Loganov. His 2 worst races in this event, 11th twice, and then he's been 5th and 4th, 3rd, and of course the win at the World Championships. Well, Benny Dahl setting the fastest time by a decent margin there. That's 5 seconds ahead of his teammate, Pfeiffer.
Conditions just a little bit slower than last year. Winning time last year, 23.09. Here we have, it's all artificial snow. We have temperatures around 4 degrees as we see Dahl throw his first one low right. That's exactly what Johannes Tingersbø's been doing this season. Just explain that, you know, what happens there.
I think for Johannes, it was something in his mind that got in the way, and it was interesting hearing him in the mass start saying his aim today was to hit 10 out of 10 pro, and so he had a different strategy. He calmed down. But I think you snatch that first shot, you're keen to get it away, and you drag it to the right side, high or low.
Rastaguyev's underway, and it's been a good steady season for him this year.
Another athlete who made his way to the European, a lot of travelling after Antholz, straight over to Minsk, taking part in a number of races there at the European Champs.
Yeah, and as a result, a number of them have picked up bugs on the way, hopefully not corona. But, you know, that is one of the greatest dangers, isn't it, Mike? Cooped up in an aeroplane with 300 other folk.
Yeah, it's always risky, isn't it, travelling as a highly tuned athlete. You tend to pick up bugs slightly easier when you're fatigued and tired with so many races. Theo Maet will be in very soon. He's setting the fastest time by 6 seconds ahead of Benedikt Dahl. Raised sights, Patrick, have been in for a long time. It's been experimented forever, but I've never seen such highly raised sights as Elysiev. Often it works for him. and the head weight from Fiumaye. Look at his cheek, all of his head weight is through the rear of the rifle.
But look how green his light is. 7.
They must have so many very happy, positive memories from here, from 2013 World Championships, 3 golds.
Yeah, it was all about him and Svensson. And Martin Fourcade on that occasion getting the world's allocation of silver.
He put that right in the years to follow.
Good shoot so far, that last one in the 10, he goes just a tiny bit high right, but that was an excellent group. Still we don't see a smile from Ziggy Mazet, but that will come if he hits 5 in the stand as well.
Наверное, интернет пропадал, поэтому зрителей так мало стало.
So here is Martin Fourcade, and he'll remember the races here. This is where he was sort of very much in control of the World Cup in 2013. He was a little precocious maybe, some would say a little arrogant. He tried a few new tactics, trying to disrupt the psyche of other athletes. But we did have some amazing racing as a result, and 1 or 2 incredible finishes.
It's not often you see in biathlon athletes playing a bit of gamesmanship, and that's where they were coming into the range in the mass start and in the relay, and he would put in this big sprint. Nobody went with him, and he gained nothing because he took longer to settle and get his breathing under control.
And he missed targets.
He missed.
Hey, but if you don't try, you don't learn. And you know, you learn more from your mistakes. And Fourcade has been brave enough to experiment.
I was just thinking those very things. But if you're brave and experiment, you've got to push your limits, test your limits. Prima, that's a good start. 4th position, but 13.6 behind. Interesting there, Samuelson just coming off the penalty loop, but Samuelson 24 seconds off the pace coming in to shoot.
Have a look at that, 9.8 inside. Now, I know exactly what you're thinking, Mike, and you know, you're looking forward to the last lap to see what he can do.
I am, but I do get his strategy. He's trying so much to get in the mind of his main opposition or his main rival, Martin Fourcade. He knows that Martin will always take the bait. He'll try and chase that time down. So it is a clever strategy if you're strong, if you're tough, and he is.
But I tell you what would be clever would be for Fourcade and Johannes Tingesbø to realise that they're not the only 2 fish in the pond anymore. We've got Fiumaye, we've got Jacques Alain, we've still got Tadejbo, who's quite capable of winning.
There are many in this big pond now that could take the win today, just depending on the big names if they make mistakes.
Philipp Horn for Germany, not a bad start position, I guess. If you had a choice, Mike, you'd go for the probably number 5 or 6. Get out while the tracks are in reasonably good nick.
Yeah, it plays a part. The only thing, and I do like the start position that Martin Fourcade has. He's at the tail end of the first group, 36 in that first group.
So I asked you where Philipp Horn finished in the World Championship sprint, would it spring to mind?
It wouldn't.
Yeah, top 8.
Top 8.
Top 8. It was a fantastic performance.
But I do remember he folded in certainly one of the races there. Was it the relay? No, he wasn't. He didn't let the relay down.
Well, he went from 8th to 18th in the pursuit. That's about as bad as he did. He had 21 in the individual, not bad. The mass start didn't go particularly well, missing 5 in the prone.
That's 50%. I knew there was some aspect that, and I think I expected him to medal in that particular race.
So Pfeiffer in for his 2nd and final shoot of the day, having missed 1 in the prone. Vaclavic gets 4 out of 5, quite a few misses in the prone. That's better. That is better. But it's such a shame he can't add it to a 5 out of 5 in the first shoot, because Pfeiffer would have been there or thereabouts. Almost 19 minutes on the clock, so he's going to be outside the 23-minute mark for his total race.
Interestingly and a little surprisingly, after the first shoot, Arne Pfeiffer down 34 seconds behind.
Johannes Tinges, having skied hard, he knows how important the 5 are. 15.8 to a 29.5. He can shoot a good 5 seconds quicker, but Mike, avoiding the penalty loop was the key.
Very much so. And to get his prone on the ball again, spot on. I think that's a big part of his race now. Get through the prone and just do as normal in the standing.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to watch his speed relative to Phil Maillet on this second loop. That might give us a little indication of what the Norwegian can do on the final loop. Is he starting to tire? What will the tactics be now he's through the prone, which has tripped him up so many times this season? Now, a clear shoot for Doherty would help his cause immensely. It's looking good.
Fabulous. Yeah, great job. Well done, Sean Doherty. Is this him coming back into the top 20, the top 15 even? I hope it is.
17.5 after the first shoot. Doherty with a clear shoot is down in 11th position, 50 seconds off the fastest time.
Just looking at his body language, I don't think Sean's going to finish better than, I'd say, a minute 15 off the best today.
Well, a minute 15 in the Worlds was down in around 15, 16 position.
Hopefully that, I think it's going to be tight today with expected good shooting.
And that's pretty standard actually, Mike, isn't it? Top minute 15 for the top 15 and then 2 minutes 30 for the top 60.
Yeah, it's a fairly standard. Possibly the top 60 will be closer on this track and on this range today.
Now this could be top 15 as well. Have a look at that. Cheng Fang Ming with, I think that's his first clear shoot of the season. Remember, he got a top 22 in Östersund. It would be a really, really big boost for the Chinese team if he were to make top 10. And it's not beyond the realms of possibility. 13.2 inside Pfeiffer coming in. I know he's an early starter, but it's worth getting excited about in my book.
Oh, it certainly is. That's a top 10, I would say, at the moment for Cheng, if he can.
Já проверю.
Keep his pace.
Coming out under the road for the last time. He's got 1 lap to go. He's got the perfect score on the range. Is he going to have company on the foot? Last lap he could do with a little help there. Overstriding a bit, Mike. And there's the inexperience. And you can always tell from those who've come late to the sport, when they get tired, the technique changes.
And look at the frequency, it's really slow. We'll see even behind him, Bib 43, the Austrian, we can see the change in gear or the higher frequency from Dominic Landetinger. He's a bigger guy as well.
Tariebo still lying in 4th place after the first shoot. 26 seconds outside Phil Maillet, so he's not going to match the Frenchman. Lovely, absolutely fantastic, very solid, slight delay, increased delay between 4 and 5, but I don't think there's anyone on the tour who would be unhappy with that shooting performance, and the margin's still over 20 seconds, but that's certainly given him a chance of a top 3.
It has, when he gets the split times as he works his way around his final 3.3 kilometers, I think in the back of his mind, you'll be amazed that Phil Maillet is moving so fast.
And the pressure is back on the World Cup leader, Martin Fourcade, looking for his 8th Crystal Globe. Extend his record. Didn't win it last year, of course, with Johannes Tingersberg in sensational form. 21 wins in all.
Slightly more movement when you look at his foresight. Normally that rifle is holding so steady.
Johannes Tingers with a 29-second shoot. Martin Fourcade, similar sort of time, but an extra 3-4 seconds. That's going to make him work hard.
34.8, that's a long time these days in biathlon in your prone position. But you know what? He wanted to hit all 5 and he's achieved just that.
And last season and this, Mike, I know last season, you know, he wants to forget things just weren't right. I suspect he was overtrained at the beginning of the year throughout the summer and never really recovered as the season went on. But no longer can Fourcade think, I'm going to win if I shoot clear. And in his prime, he knew that if he hit 9 out of 10, he still had a pretty good chance of winning.
Very much so, and he'll get the information now, and I think Martin Fourcade will be surprised that he's 15.5 behind Johannes Tingersberg after the first shoot.
Simon Dessier for shoot number 1, 23 seconds down. So we've got 3 men essentially fighting it out. Phil Maillet, who has gone clear in both shoots. Johannes Tingersberg, who's gone clear on 1 and is just about to come in for his second shoot. And of course Martin Fourcade, who's gone through the first shoot, but is already 15 seconds adrift. This is okay from Horn. Quick shoot could see him into the top 6.
I love the way that just to get rid of any tension in your body, he moved his hips, wriggled to bed the position comfortably. Didn't pay off on his first shot though, or his third. Well, Philip will be so disappointed on a perfect day for shooting. There's no wind influence at all. The only factor is the way you squeeze the trigger and get your recoveries under control.
Pfeiffer with that very distinct style. And 26:45, good couple of minutes slower than the predicted winning time. That's something to do with the snow. He did miss on the first shoot, which has cost him, let's say, 30 seconds come the end of the race.
He did look exhausted coming towards the line. You don't often see his technique wobbling or changing or anything other than perfect, but he was so tired coming towards the line.
Now, this is a decisive shoot, and with 17.9 to play with, I'm not sure he can afford a miss, Mike, because I think Phil Maillet has probably paced this a little bit better than the Norwegian. His brother cleared 5. There's no rush. Unbelievable.
Isn't that
unbelievable? With such pressure, and he's going to come out and get the splits on Phil Maillet. So often in the World Championships, it was both the big Frenchmen starting after Johannes Tingersberg, so they were the ones that knew what they had to do.
Oh, this is phenomenal racing. I thought Phil Maillet's time was almost unbeatable.
It's not over though, Mike, because if Phil Maillet has saved 10% more than Johannes Tingers for the last 3.3, he could, and we have seen Johannes Tingers lose 15 seconds to Martin Fourcade before on the last loop. Doherty hoping for a top 15. I think probably a top 20 is more realistic. 37 down, out of the range for the second time. He's already 140 as opposed to 115 behind, and 140 in this sort of a race normally sees you down outside the top 20, but not far outside. Cheng, how good is this going to be? Has he managed to recover? Looked very, very tired coming out of the stadium for the third time.
He's opted for very long poles. It's slightly longer than we see with most athletes opting for shorter poles, and that really does dictate your reach and your stride. Really long balance strides there. He's completely spent with just, what, 80 meters to go.
I think we're looking at a PB though, Mike, because 22nd, as we mentioned, his best from Östersund earlier this year. The 25-year-old has done himself proud today. There'll be a big smile on Bjorndal's face. 2.8 outside Pfeiffer's time. That is sensational for Cheng. Great news for the Chinese team. Big Drushny, 41 with 3 misses. Skiing fast but shooting badly. And Benny Doll, as always, looks a little bit like a rag doll as he comes down the home straight.
He gives. He's the man you want if you want someone to fight for you. But look at the time, so close to his teammates.
Wow, inside Pfeiffer with 2 misses. Arndt Pfeiffer only missing once. Fiormaillet out of the blue, very quick into the stadium. 123 inside Benedict Doll. Now, after the second shoot, he was 130. Oh, actually, no, he was 120, roughly the same time. So he hasn't made too much time up on Benny Doll. He's just seen the big scoreboard, and he's just seen Johannes Tinges's time coming out of the rain.
You could just see that look in his face. He looked and he thought, is that real? How is that possible?
Oh, just how he will have felt in the sprint in Antolz in the World Championships. He was leading for so long. Oh, you have to feel for him.
It's a decent time in Cloud.
13.5.
You just saw his fingers there in his left hand. He's got tension. He's trying to just relax his position.
13.5 seconds, Mike, about 100 meters or so.
It's not bad when you look at how much time Johannes had over anybody.
Now, Fourcade, this is really about damage limitation, isn't it, Mike?
Well,
and try and avoid losing too many points to Fiormaillet and Johannes Tingesbø.
And I think when you look at his time there, 26 seconds after the first shoot, Martin was 15 behind. So he chased that early incredible time of Johannes, and now I think that Martin Fourcade is struggling with that incredible first lap pace.
And if it results in a missed shot in the stand, my goodness, he's going to drop down the order.
Zachna, I think in Pokljuka, when with Oya they took the silver medal in the single mixed relay.
Jacquelin will be in to shoot for the first time very shortly. We've got the first 43 athletes through the range. Jacquelin, in probably both of our books, the last man who has a chance of winning this one. Schemp might do something, but he's not going to win. Gigener, likewise. Here comes Tadej Bø. Is he going to get another top 5? Keep his hopes alive. It's looking difficult for him in terms of the overall. 38.3. And after the second shoot, Tadej Bø still lying in 3rd place. But Martin Fourcade has not been through that stage. Jakob Fax had a good day, although we haven't seen him, Mike.
Jakob Fax having a fabulous start to the race. Perfect 10 out of 10, just 3.3 left. Dali, so fast and so young, 22-year-old. And he can control himself under pressure, Dali.
Now, Jacquelin with a little look just to check the wind flags. I think he was surprised that number 2 went wide. The 5th shot, does it go down? Yes, it does. So Jacquelin into, where's he going to go with that? He's got the penalty loop to pay, and that is going to damage his chances. Luckily for him, no pursuit race to follow. He's only lying 8th in the Sprint World Cup chase. The chase for the sprint title, well, Fourcade's on 2.68, Fiormaillet on 2.34. That could change. Now, big moment. He's not going to win, 34 outside, but a top 3, Mike, still brings him a bundle of points, and he'd only lose 12 points to Johannes Tinges should he end up being the winner. That changes 12 to 22. One more miss, he's in real trouble. No, makes sure, but he'll be frustrated. We saw the anger he showed in the individual at the World Championships, Mike, when he missed his very last shot.
Oh, he still won the race, but he likes perfection. Of course he does.
Burt was 17 ahead, so he's taken 6 seconds out of Phil Maillet. He's safe. He can cruise from here, Mike.
He certainly can, and so no adverse effect from his incredible first lap. So clearly, Johannes Tingesbø has got all of his best form back. And that's bad news for the rest of the best in the next 3 World Cups.
Yeah, we are going to have some chase for the Crystal Globe this year. And we've got Johannes Tinges to thank for the fact that he took 6 races out and gave everyone else a shot. Julian Eberhardt, quick with the prone, but a minute behind. What's going on?
Well, he's going to try and shoot fast now, and it's not always a good strategy. He's having to really work for this last shot, so running out of breath as you get to your 5th shot, having shot so fast. Well done. I mean, that's hard to get the last shot when you've messed up 2 out of 4 shots fired.
Have you ever shot all 5 on one breath?
Never.
Never tried it?
In training you can do that, you just line up rapid fire, but you can't risk it when you're high-end tired.
No, I wasn't suggesting in a race, but I just thought maybe part of the training. I'm pretty sure this man will have done it actually when they have those shooting contests. When they're fresh, what can they rattle the targets down in under 9 seconds?
Yeah, quite. I think Oleander got it down to 7 from rifle off, rifle back on, having hit 7.7 seconds. This is an incredible performance from Johannes Tingesbø.
Yeah, the win is in the bag. We only had to wait for 3 athletes to cross the line in the women's 22 this time round. No one's going to touch that. And Johannes Tinges with another 60 points to his name.
Мощно, мощно, мощно. Молодец, вообще супер.
Well, Jakob Fak dancing his way up the hill. He's trying to chase Tarjei Bø's time, but he's got a lot of work to do. 10 seconds doesn't sound much, but of course he's completely run out of space in which to achieve that, but it's still a good performance. 4th as he comes across the line. Yes, it will be. 10 out of 10.
Yeah, that's a good, rare, clear shoot for Jakob. That's what we wanted to see more in his prime, Mike, when he was skiing so fast. But you know, he's a man who knows how to get onto the podium, and today might be one of those days. Well, he's just going to miss out, isn't he? Because Tarjei Bø 101 behind, but top 5.
Tero Sapila, I keep believing in this man, and in fact, Finnish TV were saying, well, he can't shoot, and I said, well, just give him space, give him time. You have to build. It's a long journey, and I'm delighted for the first time we're seeing Tero shoot the perfect 10. And now that's going to be a good result. He does ski fast. This may well be good enough at the end of the day to hold on to a top 12, a top 10 maybe.
Well, he's only once got into the top 20, so anything better than 20 is a PB, and for many, that's every bit as good as a win. So 8:39, these are the standings after the first shoot, and it's similar sort of names. Martin Fourcade there, Mike, as you mentioned, only losing just over 10 seconds on the first lap to Johannes Tingesbø, and skiing considerably faster than Phil Maillet on that first loop.
Yeah, and I think that was a danger. And Martin now is incredibly, after missing that one shot, he's still 5th place. He'll be chasing down Jakob Fak and possibly Tarjei Bø.
Yeah, we should get a split on Martin Fourcade going through 9.3 fairly shortly. Dessieux has just gone through 7.7 into 7th place. Julian Eberhardt of Austria, 209 down on the leaders.
Just looking at the times, between the range and 7.7 kilometers, Martin's recently gone through there. He's lost 10 seconds to Johannes Tingesbø, and that, for me, that's all because of the early chase. He tried to stay with the early incredible pace. Johannes managed to live with it, but Martin Fourcade hasn't.
And of course, that's the toughest part of the course profile.
To the high point, and maybe that you mentioned that at the start of the program, that profile up to the high point. Yes, you can gain some recoveries back down, but it's still a high risk strategy. Davitova, the Czech Republic athlete, yesterday finishing third. She said she just wished that the spectators were there to see her when she was interviewed later. And it doesn't look like Moravec is going to make the podium today.
Yeah, but I think many feeling that had the spectators been there making a noise and supporting her, she wouldn't have been able to cope with the pressure. So swings and roundabouts. Rastogujev of Latvia, 2:14. Again, a decent shooting score, but he's in a similar boat to Fak, and it's a boat that's it's got less horses than it used to have.
Well, it has, but I think when he was asked to do so many races at the European Championships, which just finished on Sunday, he's exhausted. All that travelling from Minsk down here, he looks very, very tired.
Simoneda still hasn't really recovered. He's had health issues pretty much all the way through the season, and I thought he was looking better in Antolz, Mike, but 2 minutes behind with just one miss.
Surprising. He's not there. He's not in form. He's had nasal
sinus problems,
breathing, nasal sinus problems. It was better in Antolz slightly. Now here's a fighter, a real fighter on the track.
Top 10 after the second shoot for Dale, and he was 128. If he can keep it to 128, he'd go into the top 5. I'm not sure he's quite going to manage that over the last little bit of climb. He gets about 4 or 5 seconds rest just as he descends down into the stadium, but he'll keep that work rate as high as possible.
Remember his first World Cup race, it was here. He finished 15th that day, totally unexpected.
Can he go ahead of Kern? It's going to be tight. I think he's just going to squeeze into the top 5 for now, and that's a really good effort. Martin Fourcade looking to get from 5th up into 3rd, but 120 behind, going through 9.3. He's only 3 seconds off Jakub Fak, who is in 4th position. So a sprint from Fourcade could put him up to 4th, and in difference in points, you get 40 points for finishing 5th. 43, so 3 points could make all the difference come the end of the season.
And you could just feel the energy from Matan. He was desperately trying to get these 3 seconds back, and I think he might. He's not far to the finish line from where we saw him. Oh, this is it feels an age since Arndt Pfeiffer set off, and Guiganat have been waiting patiently.
Wow. Yeah, and he's got some pretty rough conditions out there. Guiganat, I'd love to see him put in a good race. Mike, he was the second best Frenchman on many occasions last year, but just hasn't had the power that he showed last year.
It's a real surprise and disappointment for Guiganat. Martin's chasing that 4th position.
Yeah, that's the 3 seconds that he needed. I think Jakub Fak's in trouble. Talieper is a good 15 seconds ahead of Fak. He's not going to touch the Norwegian, who lies in 3rd at the moment. Fak on 116. Here he comes. He's got 10 seconds to do the last 100 metres. Almost went the wrong way, and that's cost him half a second or so. That could be the difference between 4th and 5th. Fak obviously putting in a good straight.
That was the difference.
That was 119 down in 5, so 40 points gained, 20 points lost to Johannes Tingesbø, who gets yet another win on the circuit this year. Wow.
Very rarely do we see Matan so exhausted, or at least he always used to hide it. He'd run across the line, unclip his skis. Here's a faller. Oh, the rifle's going to take a smack. At least it hasn't snapped the rifle stock, if there's a positive in that situation.
Yeah, the butt hooks seem to be...
Давайте подписываемся, ставим лайки, и на выходных будет эфиры другие. Все неполадки, все исправлю. Будет лучше в следующий раз.
Republic, Stretchy as we like to call him.
Stretchy. He's very good. He's medalled at Junior World Championships. Another well-developed athlete from the Czech Republic. First shot in 20 seconds, 5 seconds between each shot. He wants to hit them, and you can't deny that as an athlete. especially racing at home.
Simon Dessieux puts 3 Frenchmen into the top 6. They have not lost any of the strength in depth that they demonstrated. Actually, they've demonstrated right the way through this season. And one of the most surprising stats, Mike, from the Worlds, that it was 19 years since France last won that men's relay. We've been saying for what, 5-6 years now, that on paper, if they all do what they can do, they should win the relay.
It's been surprising, I think, over the years. Yes, they've had second places 3 times and third place a couple of times, but we have expected them in recent times to take the title, as they did this year. We missed Dovzan starting from Slovenia, and well, he'll be looking forward to February next year for the World Championships at home.
Just having a look down to see how far down the list the world champion has finished.
Christensen can change things. No, it's been a terrible day for logging off. His spirit, I think, is broken, because on the last lap he skied so badly and he's down.
He's down in 30th position.
At the back of the field almost.
Yeah, and that effectively is his chance of winning the sprint title this year out the window. He was just 17 points down on Martin Fourcade in second place, and down in 30th, likely to be pushed out of the top 40, to be honest.
Kretschmar just setting a fabulous shooting score, of course the Olympic silver medalist in this discipline. Now there's a surprise, and we've missed Jacquelin as well, just going out 1 second behind Martin Fourcade.
Kretschmar into 7th after that second shoot. Now he's only 1 second down on Jacquelin, he's 2 seconds down on Fourcade, he's 11 seconds down on Jakub Fak. Could be a top 4, possibly, outside chance, but possibly a podium finish for the Czechs, and they got one yesterday.
Yeah, and this is going to be depressing news, I think, with Jacquelin out on the track, 1 second to catch up on Martin, and Kretschmar just 2 seconds to catch up on Martin Fourcade.
Johannes Tingis, impeccable. The focus every bit as intense as it was for the Mass Start World Championship race, where he came away with the gold medal. This is a stadium where we see 2 brothers on the podium at the same time fairly frequently. The 2 Fourcades on the podium back in 2012, the very first Sprint World Cup here in this stadium.
Well, it's looking good, still looking quite good. I'm not sure it's going to go the whole way with it. Tariabo remaining on the podium.
Well, who do you think is going to overtake him?
The prone shooting. Oh, it was, my mind was on Christensen, but of course he missed 1 shot in the very last shot. He was definitely going to go ahead of Tarja at that stage.
Christensen has come out of the range down in 11th. He's 127. Really, his only chance of gaining positions is to overtake Arndt Pfeiffer. I think Cheng may well survive. Cheng of China currently in 12th position. Oh, so maybe Christensen can haul him in. Cheng actually dying a death on that last loop, Mike, because he came out of the range 113 behind, and he's now 151 behind in the finish. Kretschmar, what can he do on the last lap?
Well, he's desperately trying to move ahead of Martin Fourcade for that 5th place.
Well, he's done that.
And it's looking good.
He's done that, and he's done it in fairly emphatic style. Now, he's got to gain another 7 seconds to catch Jakub Fak. Can he really gain the 15, 16 seconds he needs to get Tariabo?
It's when he's missed 1 less shot than Martin, I'm surprised to see him attacking so fast early on.
Leigrid for Norway. Norwegians have been shooting pretty well today. That's another excellent shoot.
You know, you get a chance, an opportunity to start in a World Cup, and you've got to show your coaches that you're made of the right stuff. So far, so good for Leigrid. Biggest surprise, well, apart from Loganov for me today, Loganov 3:13 behind, is the Austrian team. 2 minutes and 5 seconds behind for Leitner, missing only 2. Eder only missed 1, he's 2:06.
Привет. Кто не подписан, подписываемся. Эфиры, выходные. Качество буду улучшать, все делать. Так что все будет нормально.
Austrians. See what he can do.
The track is definitely so much slower now. Remember, it was a very firm surface early on. This makes it slower.
Emilien Jacquelin How's he getting on? Just that one miss proving so damaging. Jacquelin, the pursuit world champion, the bronze medalist from the mass start at the end of the championships.
Well, he's got 10 seconds to haul back on Sepala, and that's unlikely.
Possible though, possible. Sepala in 6th in the finish. And we've still got Krishma, who's heading for home. Here's Jakub Sverki.
If this is your home track, which it is, and you take these corners most days in the summer on roller skis, he will be upset. And then he's caught in the netting like a...
Not half as upset as his coach.
No.
He's away. No damage done. Like a freed wasp out of a jar.
Gone. Well, the wind throughout the race has not been an issue at all. Lachipov, he normally shoots rapid fire. 13.4 to the first shot, pretty good. Well, he's taking his time. That didn't work out as he'd hoped.
Alysiev, the best of the Russians at the moment in the finish, with one miss, 24th position, 2:35 behind. Unbelievable. Their form has dropped off dramatically. It rose to a peak. It looks a bit like the stock market over the last couple of weeks, the Russian form. Jacquelin on 134. He's looking like Susan Dunkley at the end of her World Championship sprint. There's nothing left in the legs, and he drops to 144 behind. Wow.
Ну как-то сегодня у всех какие-то скорости слабые. Я не знаю, что так влияет, но... Ну, кроме Био. Био у него всегда...
No, já mám takový rituál, že si to vždycky porovnám.
Заходите на канал, смотрите предыдущие видео.
Welcome back to Nowe Miasto. I was about to say we're drawing towards the end of the men's sprint, but the last starters have yet to get underway. We've just seen Mickey Schlesinger prepare his transponder for his start. Kalili starting 108. We've got Baisho of Japan starting 109. It's going to be a long while before the race finishes, but the race effectively is over. The world's, well, he's not number one at the moment, but the world's number one from last year, Johannes Tingesbø, has absolutely stormed this one. 24.56. He's put a 22-second margin between himself and Fillon-Maillet, and his brother Tadej Bush sitting in third. Looks as though he's going to stay there unless Schlesinger can bring off the race of his life. But the last race of his life was way back in what, 2007?
2007 at the World Championships. Yep, 13 years ago. He doesn't have that form now, and the tracks, let's be honest, are a disadvantage at this stage. I think of at least 20 to 30 seconds, maybe more.
A lap. How has Krejcmar done? Trying to beat Fourcade on 119. He might just have done it. What a finish. What a finish from Krejcmar. He came out of the range in 7th position. He's got himself all the way up into 4th position. He's got ahead of Fact. That's a big surprise. Mike, he was 2 seconds ahead of Fourcade at the last split. He's extended that to 5. So a wonderful fighting finish from Krejcmar. That was worthy of a podium finish. finish. Had he started in the first 10 and produced the same range, he would have done that.
I'm amazed he wasn't in an earlier start position. Has been the key man for the Czech Republic. Švédke, he's just dropped his hat there, and of course he was caught in a big net. He's lost all that time, and what a pity he fell on the fast, difficult descent.
Have you noticed how much better?
His rifle. Look at the tail end of his rifle. Great effort to knock 5 targets down with the
luckily in the stand position. But have you noticed how much better the Czechs shoot when there are no fans in their stadium?
it's a factor. Yeah, racing at home, but without 19,000 people shouting, praising, or moaning at each shot fired.
Stavecki shooting clear, Krishmar shooting clear. Let's see if Schlesinger can do the same. He's got 6 minutes or so before he comes in.
Даже Тарибё на минуту отстал по времени. Да, что происходит? Может, смазка плохая?
So over a minute's margin between the top 3 in a sprint event. That's extraordinary. Last time we raced here, Johannes Tingis won on that occasion as well, and he finished 21 ahead of Loginov, and then we had Ponsaluma at 54, so similar sort of situation. These are obviously tracks and the big steep climbs that suit the heart and lungs of one Johannes Tingis.
This really is his type of terrain, and the fact we're only 600 meters here, I think Johannes, I was a little surprised, at 1,000 meters higher than here at 1,600 meters in Antholz. He struggled. He certainly struggled in the first couple of races. That magical ski time he had was not average, it was above average, but it wasn't the sharpness he had in the early part of the season.
Well, that's what you get for living in Oslo. Altitude 0. Well, hopefully about 5 with the increasing sea levels. But he'll do much of his training up on the Holmenkollen tracks when the snow. It's not been a good year for the south of Norway. They're doing okay in central Norway. Lillehammer, Sjusjøen, Nordseter all have decent snow cover.
Yes, thankfully, and of course with the Easter holidays coming up fairly soon. Anev is in agony.
Lillehammer, Sjusjøen, Nordseter.
А Бёта подбирается к Фуркаду. Я думаю, что все возможно, что первое место может занять в кубке.
Meanwhile, it's painful. And I think after World Championships, they've all been at home, caught up with life, and then you've got to come back out again and fight like a gladiator.
Wow, sounded my hens laying extra large eggs.
The margin to third place from.
Но я бы хотел бы, чтобы Юханес выиграл Кубок мира. У Фуркада уже их много, так что.
And third, it's unusual over 10 kilometers.
Now, you predicted 20 going clear. Just scanning the results, I'm not sure we're going to get as far as 15, let alone 20.
9, 10, I'm surprised. 10, oh no, 11, 12. 12. Legreit might give us the 13th perfect shoot. He has perfect shooting there. Well, as he look at the time, this could well challenge 104 behind.
So 109 the margin for Legreit, and if he can keep that, which would be a miracle, he will go into the top 4. Now Krishmar Mike, who put up one of the strongest fights on the last lap, he went from 102 to 114. So you'd expect Legreit to go from 108 to at least 118. He could have a battle with Martin Fourcade and push Fourcade down yet another place, which is key in terms of the World Cup standings.
Hugely, and Legreit, what about that? Your first ever World Cup race and you hit the perfect 10 shots, and he's most likely to finish in the top 10.
The trouble is, now he's expected to hit all the targets. The expectation is there. And we do see athletes who start their careers in incredible style, but then they start to think, then they start to expect.
Yeah, no, your first race where you've got no pressure, no expectations. Of course, you've always got some pressure. You want to impress, to be reselected again.
But you'd still rather have a clear shoot on your first appearance than not. It's a really impressive achievement as we see Latipov across the line, top 15. That's a
Неплохо, неплохо, молодец.
leading Russian. He's got what, 3 Frenchmen ahead of him. He's got 3 Norwegians ahead of him. He's got 3 Germans ahead of him. Russia very much in 4th or 5th position in the world standings. Schlesinger, what's he going to be? 25, 26 behind? 25.5.
It's not great news when you get that kind of information at only 2.5. You've still got almost another kilometre to your first time into the range.
This is actually much better from Giganat. Oh, what a shame. What a shame. He had a chance of being the second best Frenchman here today. That would have been just the tonic that he and the team need, because they've missed his skills.
They have. Patrick Favre just radioing the information out there. Giganat, if he'd hit that, he'd have been going out of the range about 1 minute and 1 second behind, which would have been, well, equal with Martin Fourcade. And Jacques Lam, there you can see in 6th, they're 101. And the best of the Germans, Kuhn, 11th place at the end of the race.
Sarajevo can start to celebrate yet another podium finish. Brilliant, brilliant performance from him. One of the early big names to start. And he's got a good history from here in Novo Miesto, as Mike mentioned at the head of the programme. Fiormaillet, he's there or thereabouts. But today, convincingly out-skied by Johannes Tingesbø, who seems to have lost no form since the mass start in Antots. That break he had in the middle of the season to go home to join his wife while she was giving birth. My goodness, Mike, it seems to help his form at the end of the season.
Incredible. And he won't be regretting that decision at all.
Sreki already almost 2 minutes behind.
But remember, that fall certainly cost him, I reckon, 25, maybe more seconds.
Yeah, that's a real shame.
And to take the team spare rifle, he hit all 5, credit to him. Yes, it's they've all felt how to shoot the team spare, and it's less important when it comes to stand shooting. You don't need quite the same accuracy.
What are you going to say, 20 seconds the fall cost him or more?
I think more. I think almost as much as 30. All that momentum lost, he had to fish himself out of the net.
Well, that fall has cost him his PB. Best ever we've seen from him, 16th place. He would have been comfortably inside that had he not found himself tied up in the netting. Great effort though, he's fought all the way. Funny when you take a fall, Mike, you sort of put it to the back of your mind. You think it's cost you a second rather than 21 seconds.
Yeah, you can tighten up after it. As you said, he went out like a bee out of a jar. He just picked up his pace straight into action. So you get a little adrenaline and a little build-up of lactic acid. Steven Shep.
О, Шемп вернулся. Ну, неплохо, неплохо, но слабоват еще. Совсем.
To 3rd place, he's only just over a minute behind Terriabo, but as you can see, 2 minutes 9 behind the lead time.
Jacquelin, who was only a couple of seconds down on Martin Fourcade coming out of the range, he's faded badly on the last lap, dropped down into 10th position. Leigrid of Norway. Now he could possibly do his teammate Johannes Tingesbø a favour and push Fourcade from 6th down into 7th position, which would be worth another 2 points on the World Cup. And the reason we get excited is because we sort of sense that this season is going to come down down to a point here, a point there.
It is. Ligrid, though, sadly, the track is so badly broken up now, he has 10 seconds to find to catch up with Martin Fourcade. He may well pass Jacques Alain, who really faded in the last 2 kilometres.
And effectively, Mike, there could be, at the end of the season, after what will it be, 24 races, just 1 shot's difference between the top 3.
So close over the years.
Well, here he is. Here's the man. He's faded a little. Yeah, he's struggling as well. Nothing to do with the effort level. It's all to do with the condition of the tracks. Having started 79, that was going to be tricky. But Mike, what he does get is he earns himself a start in the mass start. Then we'll see what he can do. Then we'll see how he copes with the pressure of being up alongside the best rather than just in the same race as them.
Certainly the way he handled it today, as if it was just a normal day at training. There he's been giving everything, all the exact timings that he needs. And the European Championships, he had a 5th, a 12th and a 2nd, of course, on the last day position in those races. And that was in the pursuit competition. So really has had a busy week last week in Minsk and the journey down here. So very impressed, and I think the coaches will be very impressed with the way Ligrid has handled his first World Cup competition. Schlesinger, it's a fight now for Mickey. 1:12 behind. Quite interesting the way that the athletes wear the rifles. Mickey Schlesinger likes to wear it high. There's quite a bit of movement in the rifle. Here comes Ligrid. So important to get the very last opportunity for the coaches to give you your position. You can pick up a 2nd from here, maybe more. But it looks like he's chasing certainly a top 10. Well, that'll be interesting if he puts Daly off. I don't think he will. Daly's time is going to survive. And Daly's first World Cup was 15th position on these tracks. Ligrid is going to better that by 2 places.
Yeah, a great day for the Norwegians.
Завтра не пропустите прямые эфиры по эстафете, будет мужская, женская. Буду вести прямые эфиры тоже завтра. Завтра, надеюсь, что-то получится у русских, украинцев, белорусов.
Well, it's been an interesting day here in Novi Mesto, and considering there haven't been any fans in the stadium, it's been an exciting race. Would have been better had some of the groups been switched around. If Group 4 had gone first, Mike, then it would have set up a much fairer contest between the big names as we watch Gigina coming in. Look at the porridge that he's got to plough his way through. You thought that was 20 seconds a race. I think that's 20 seconds every half a lap.
Yeah, it's certainly much slower, and the humidity in the snow now, the sun.
Да, селитра полная на новое место в Чехии. Зависает, не может ехать, ужас. Он же так быстро ездил.
pressed snow before you come into the new snow towards the finish, or the least pressed section. Geoghegan at 150 behind. Totally spent. But I think Geoghegan will feel that is a better performance than his most recent past. This season hasn't gone well. 15th is good today.
Well, there you see the standings for today. There won't be any changes. The latest starters are losing, now losing something like 30-35 seconds a lap. We've just seen that with Mickey Schlesinger, and he's no slouch, although he's not in his best form. Now, Mike, in terms of the World Cup, this sets up an incredible situation. And of course, if you take away the two worst results, Martin Fourcade has 60 points taken away, and then he gets 38 points added back on. So that takes him, puts him on a sort of a total of 766. Phil Maillet, by my calculation, is on 719, and Johannes Tingesbø is on 750. So that makes a difference of just 16 points effectively if we take away the two worst results. There will be some twists and turns, but we now have just 6 races to go this season. It is not going to be an easy run-in for Martin Fourcade.
Quite amazing. He was exhausted. He tried to stay with the early ridiculously fast pace that Johannes then could live with, and really that's what tripped up Martin Fourcade. And I can't remember when we've seen him, except 2 weeks ago at the World Championships at the Mastart, when we've seen Martin so tired crossing a finish line. So he really is at the top end of what he can give, what he can push, and today it was, well, a minute 19 behind Johannes Tingesbø.
There was, of course, a mistake on the range, so in terms of skiing, still 45 seconds given away. Starting 33, maybe he wanted to be earlier up in Group 1.
Maybe he does, maybe. Roman Rees could change the order, but he needs 5 shots. It's not going to change the very top end of the race.
But you almost had to add 30 on to the 129, so effectively 2 minutes behind the leaders. That would have put him in 20th position. With the missed shot, he's going to be outside the top 30. Pepe Femling for Sweden. Anyone within 2 minutes has done a brilliant job at the moment. And Femling just outside that 28th spot. World Cup points coming his way, 12 or so. And certainly not a bad day.
And such an easy day for shooting. We've now got 16 athletes with a perfect score. Some of the tail enders, you know, if it's this slow on the track, you really need to focus and try and get the targets down. At least save yourself 25, 24 seconds on the penalty loop.
Well, the last 3 starters all coming into the range together, so Schlesinger has done pretty well.
Ну все, там разбитая трасса, они ничего не покажут.
Number 108, that's Said Khalili. Now he's taken 30 seconds out of Schlesinger, so he's had an excellent start.
Ну, Халили покажет.
Just lifts up the race bit. More friction between the elbow and the hip.
Yes, Khalili. I'm surprised we're not watching Khalili. He left the range after prone shooting in the top 15. Well, Schlesinger, he won't be overly happy with a performance, what, 80% hit rate. And then the penalty loop.
106 is Gerdzikov from Bulgaria. And Schlesinger on 203 at the moment. Let's make that 240 by the time he finishes, and he's going to be struggling to make the top 60, I think. Let's have a look, see where he lies at the moment. 48th position. Yeah, top 60 is a decent achievement, having got the worst, one of the worst bibs to start with. Last season for Mickey Schlesinger, do you think?
I think he kind of insinuated that, didn't he, in Antholz? he's had some setbacks throughout his career. Many athletes do, of course.
Yeah, and actually he was going to finish last year, but he had such a poor season due to illness and injury that decided he didn't want to finish on a season like that. So he's come back for another taste. Roman Rees, another man who won't be thanking his coach for putting him in Group 4. Maybe you should only be allowed to be put in Group 4 on a couple of occasions in the season.
You've got to have a strong mind in this game, haven't you? Because Roman Rees is a good athlete, but he's been given the most difficult part of the race to start. Of course, every team has to make those choices, but if your weakest athlete is always in the least productive or beneficial group, it's difficult.
Do you remember when Dalmar was put in Group 4?
I couldn't believe that. I thought they would make some special allowance for Dalmar coming back into World Cup racing after illness, but nope, they have a structure and they stuck to it. And I think that's partly why she decided to leave early, that her path, her journey wasn't made any easier. Because she was so talented, you would expect some give in the rules, which is just each team has its own rules, but of course they stuck to them when it came to athletes and World Cup points and which group you could get into. Tough journey now for Schlesinger, with 2.3 kilometers still remaining, and the splashing wet snow. Without the spectators to his right, you know what, the local spectators could have brought a few more seconds out of him, I think.
Johannes Tingesbø might now with 3 sprint wins out of the 5 that he's entered so far this year. He's going to climb the order in terms of his ranking in the sprint, but I don't think missing 2 he's going to have a chance of catching Martin Fourcade, who moves on to 306 points. It is possible, but I think either Fourcade or Fillon-Maillet are going to take the Crystal Globe for the sprints this year. Hopefully we'll have time to bring you the World Cup standings before we go. Fourcade will still look to have a comfortable lead, but you've got to remember that if you take away his worst 2 results, he loses 60 points, and Johannes Tingis loses nothing. In terms of Fillon-Maillet, he still loses a bundle of points, about 45 points, I think, if you take away his worst results.
Congratulating the newest arrival from the Norwegian team. In fact, I think he'll be surprised that Leigrid finished 13th.
Yeah, great effort from bib number 79. And Mike, he has finished. Guiganard actually had a really good race for France, 84, finishing 15th. That, to me, is worth a top 6 or 7 had he raced in the same conditions as those in Group 1. And I think Leigrid can have a look at the results and say, yeah, I could have taken 30 seconds out of that, which would have put him in the top 6 and 7 as well.
Held now, we saw across the line, he only missed 1 shot.
Sapala in the end, Mike. That is great news for Finland. 7th position, he's hit all the targets, which is what he's...
Ну все, я думаю, уже нету смысла смотреть дальше. Все так ясно. С вас подписка, лайк, завтра эфиры. Всего хорошего.